All right, let's talk about something huge. Why do so many YouTube channels fail to grow? I mean, the platform is absolutely massive, but the numbers behind that scale, well, that's what really tells the story. So let's start right there. 155 million. Yeah, believe it or not, that is the total number of channels that exist on YouTube right now. It is an astronomical figure. And honestly, it's the backdrop for some truly sobering stats about what it actually takes to succeed. But here's the thing, that massive number, it kind of hides a really harsh reality. A staggering 90% of all channels never even get to 1,000 subscribers. Only 6% ever get monetized. Just think about this. A tiny 0.6% earn a silver play button for hitting 100,000 subs. And less than 0.05%, that's fewer than 1 in 2,000, ever hit that 1 million subscriber mark. Okay, so when you see numbers like that, it's easy to feel a little discouraged, right? But it brings up the single most important question of all. If the vast majority are struggling, what is that successful 1% doing that sets them apart? That is exactly what we are going to unpack today. Look, the thing about that top 1% is that their journey starts in the exact same place as everyone else, at zero. The algorithm treats their first videos just like it treats yours. The difference isn't some magic bullet. It's about understanding the reality of the platform and, crucially, avoiding a very common trap. This is where things usually go wrong, right from the start. Most creators jump in with these totally unrealistic expectations. They think, oh, I'll just upload some videos, or, all I need is that one viral hit and I'm set. But the reality, it's a brutal wake-up call. Making a good video is a super complex process, consistency is absolutely everything, and those first paychecks after you finally hit 4,000 watch hours, they're often shockingly small. This massive clash between what you expect and what is, that's the first major hurdle. And that hurdle, that big gap between expectation and reality, leads directly into what we can call the creator trap. It's this psychological loop that just snags aspiring creators and stops them from ever making any real progress. So here's how this trap works. It's pretty simple, actually. Step 1 is having those sky-high, unrealistic expectations we just talked about. Then, bam. Step 2, the reality check hits. The hard work and the slow growth start to feel really demotivating. And this leads right into step 3, the advice consumption loop. Instead of actually making videos, creators get stuck endlessly watching videos about how to make videos, how to get more views, how to get more subs, you know the drill. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the trap. Every single time you click on another one of those how to grow on YouTube videos, your brain gets a little reward, a little hit of dopamine. It feels like you're moving forward, like you're about to discover that one secret that'll change everything. But watching isn't doing. It's the complete illusion of progress without any of the actual work. And what makes this whole thing even trickier is that a lot of the advice out there is actually designed to keep you stuck in that loop. You have to learn to spot the red flags, like anyone promising you overnight success, or promoting shady tactics like buying views, or only focusing on so-called algorithm hacks instead of real skills. Some channels even intentionally make their content confusing just so you have to keep coming back to them for answers. Okay, so that's the trap. The big question is, how do you break out of it? How do you join that 1%? Well, it all comes down to a blueprint, really, built on 9 core principles that we can group into 3 key areas: mindset, strategy, and action. Let's start with the foundation. And I mean the absolute foundation, which is your mindset. Because without getting this part right, no strategy, no action, none of it is ever going to be sustainable. First step, you have to set realistic expectations. Just understand it's going to be hard and the rewards will come slowly. This alone will save you from so much disappointment. Second, do not quit too early. Take the creator Saklan Khan. His first video on a new documentary channel went viral. An overnight success, right? Well, what you don't see are the 500+ videos he'd already made on another channel, honing his skills for years. Overnight success is almost always built on a mountain of work no one ever sees. And finally, stay consistent. It's how you get better, it's how you build an audience, and it's how you tell the algorithm that your channel is the real deal. All right, once you've got that mindset dialed in, we need to layer on some smart strategy. This isn't just about working hard, this is about working smart. This is where having a clear plan changes everything. Now, this first strategic key is going to sound a little weird. Stop trying to be unique, at least in the beginning. So many new creators fail because they try some totally unique idea that has no proof it'll even work. Instead, look at what's already working in your niche. Figure out why it works and use that as your foundation.
Then you can add your own unique spin. Next, and this is huge, you must define a niche. If you don't know who you're making videos for, you're just making them for yourself. And finally, you have to know when it's time to pivot if a niche just isn't working out. Now, a massive part of working smart comes down to understanding the 80-20 rule. The idea is simple. For a lot of things in life, roughly 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. And on YouTube, this concept is incredibly powerful. Just think about it for a second. You pour hours and hours into research, scripting, editing, all that hard work. But it's the 20% of your effort spent on the packaging, the idea, the title, the thumbnail, and that first 30-second hook that is responsible for 80% of your views. If that package doesn't convince someone to click and then stick around, all your other hard work, well, it just doesn't matter. And that right there brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the whole puzzle. This is the thing that actually breaks you out of the creator trap for good: consistent, focused action. First, and I cannot stress this enough, you have to actually apply what you learn. Before you watch another advice video, just ask yourself, did I implement what I learned from the last one? Even a tiny 1% improvement in each video is real, tangible progress. Second, find a few trustworthy sources for advice and then just tune out all the other noise. And finally, you have to accept that some skills, like making a killer thumbnail or just developing a good editing rhythm, can only be learned through one thing: experience. No amount of watching videos can ever replace the act of doing. So when we put all these pieces together, what does this roadmap actually look like? How do you get out of that 99% trap and get on the real path to growth? It really is a blueprint, and it all works together, you see. You start with the right mindset: patience, realism, and consistency. Then you layer on a smart strategy using proven concepts and that 80-20 rule. And finally, you bring it all to life with consistent action, applying what you learned to build real-world experience. You know, when it's all said and done, it really boils down to this one powerful idea. A lot of people are drawn to the idea of being a YouTuber. You know, the status, the money, but far, far fewer are truly passionate about the craft of actually making videos. And that difference, that's everything. So that leaves us with one last and, honestly, the most crucial question for you. Don't get overwhelmed thinking about 1,000 changes you need to make. Instead, just think about this. What is the one single % improvement you can apply to your very next video starting today? Because that is how the journey into the 1% begins.